Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone for the student presentations. So we are having Her Grace Kirtida Mataji today, and I'll turn it over to Mataji.
Can you see my screen, Prabhu?
Yes.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today I am going to make this humble attempt to speak about the topic Nishkama Karma Yoga. Before starting that, I would like to thank Paramkarna Prabhuji and Damodar Leela Mataji for their significant support and tireless efforts in supporting us in understanding topics better and moving forward in our Bhakti path. Thank you so much, Prabhuji and Mataji. So now I would like to offer the Mangalacharan prayers for our Guru and Acharyas. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So we can go into the topic now. The topic is Nishkama Karma Yoga. So before going to that, I would like to just discuss what is exactly yoga. In our Bhagavad Gita, we have discussed different types of yogas. As we are going through different chapters, we came across different types of yogas. Krishna spoke about Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. So we have so many yogas. So what is exactly yoga? Whatever is the yoga, the purpose of yoga is to establish the connection with the Supreme. Coming to this particular topic, Nishkama Karma Yoga means, karma means doing some action, right? So to dovetail our actions with the Supreme, with the purpose of achieving the better thing in our progress, to progress better in our activities, which is called Bhakti Yoga. To connect with the Supreme with the pure Bhakti. In simple terms, this Nishkama Karma Yoga is also called Karma Yoga. How the Karma Yoga differs with karma is, if we take just the karma, we have discussed Sakama Karma, Nishkama Karma and all that. So we are going little bit details into that one. So basically karma leads ones to bondage because we have attachment to the actions or the karma that we perform. Whereas if we take Karma Yoga or Nishkama Karma Yoga, this leads us to liberation because the basic concept of Nishkama Karma Yoga is doing the activities without attachment. So if we take karma and karma yoga, in both, we are doing the action. We are not renouncing the action. But what makes the difference is the consciousness in which the action is performed. So it's not really the action that causes the bondage. That's what Krishna says. Simple example to understand this is a soldier. So when a soldier kills the enemy under the command of his superior officer who works under the guidance of the government, so he is not really subjected to be judged for his action. So even if he kills someone, it is for the purpose of the achieving good for under the guidance of the government. But if the same soldier kills someone on his personal account without anybody's guidance, just out of his own will, he certainly judged by the court of law. So the same action of killing, making him to be victim or making him to be awarded and rewarded by the government because of his brave action. So the key takeaway here is, so one should act according to the directions of Krishna, just being as a mere instrument. That is called Karma Yoga. So one who performs this action is called Karma Yogi. So a Karma Yogi, we can understand him like a lotus flower in the water. Even though the lotus is in the mud, it is not touched by the mud. And even if we put some water on top of the lotus leaf, it will not get wet. It will just fall apart. So as we just discussed, Nishkama Karma is doing the action without attaching to the results. So the key characteristics I want to highlight in this, which are selflessness. So there is no selfish motive for his action, who is doing the Nishkama Karma. And detachment. As there is no selfish motive, one is not attached to the results. One should act without attaching to the result. All this leads to the purification of oneself. So these are the main characteristics. All these, when we connect to the Supreme, that is called Nishkama Karma Yoga. So that's the main thing. Maybe one can do philanthropic activities without any selfishness and without any attachment. But still that is not called Nishkama Karma Yoga because it's not connected to the divine. So there are levels in the Nishkama Karma Yoga, kind of like initial stages of Nishkama Karma Yoga and highest level of Nishkama Karma Yoga. So in the initial stages of Nishkama Karma Yoga, where a person is cultivating the knowledge and practicing it, he knows that he has to do the action without the attachment. At the same time, he really cannot detach from the results because we have been in this conditioned state for a long time. So it's not very easy. Okay, today somebody said, don't attach to your activities, means, okay, I'm not going to attach to anything. We cannot do it just right away. So immediately one cannot be detached to the results of his work. So it takes time. So when we are not completely detached, it is called initial levels of Nishkama Karma Yoga. Whereas highest level of Nishkama Karma Yoga is almost equal to Bhakti Yoga, where one performs the action with the perfect knowledge and fully detached and fully surrendering or fully offering the results to the Lord. So that is almost equal to the Bhakti Yoga, which we are going to discuss in our future chapters. In the chapters what we have discussed until now, 1 to 6, this Nishkam Karma Yoga topic is explained in various chapters. Like there are some verses talking about this Nishkam Karma Yoga in chapter 2 and chapter 3 and chapter 5. So we know that chapter 5 is a kind of reconciliation of chapter 3 and 4. So Krishna is reconciling both those topics of the chapters and giving Arjuna the final instruction, because Arjuna was confused whether to do the karma or renounce the karma and be a sannyasi. So what Krishna suggests in 5.6 is a gnani or a thoughtful person engaged in karma yoga is the best. So that in that way, one quickly attains the supreme. Are you still seeing the screen? Are you still seeing the screen?
Yes, we see levels of Nishkam Karma Yoga.
Okay. Sorry. Here I got something. Okay. So in the beginning of the chapter 5, and even in chapter 3 also, Arjuna asked similar question to Krishna, whether which is better, whether karma yoga is better or sannyasa is better. Because Krishna said in chapter 4, he says, attain peace by gnana and renounce karma by gnana. So it sounded to Arjuna like gnana is better than doing karma. So Arjuna got confused and he was not ready to fight anyway. So he got some support kind of thing, as he thought gnana is better. But Krishna asked him to fight again. So he was confused and he was asking Krishna. But Krishna says, karma yoga, performing with all the characteristics that we defined, that we just discussed, without attachment and offering the results to the Lord. So that is easier to perform than sannyasa, because one cannot just be inactive without performing any action. As long as our heart is not purified, one has to work on the fruitive platform. So Krishna suggests to perform the action in the right consciousness instead of renouncing the action. Basically, his instruction is we should be sannyasis in karma, but not sannyasas of karma. When we compare both the Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga, so here the goal is same, but the process in which we are achieving the goal is different. So we can, when a person comes to the highest level of Nishkam Karma Yoga, or when once he started practicing it for some time, and once he knows what exactly needs to be done, he can really truly detach from the results internally, not just thinking that, okay, I should just detach, but he is not really ready to detach. He may still perform the actions externally, but he is truly detached from the results or from the fruitive actions internally. All this results to the purification of one's self and realizing the self and realizing the self's connection with the Lord. So a true karma yogi is always engaged in the action, but detached from the fruits. And the result is he attains everlasting peace.
We are still seeing this slide. Okay, now it changed to why is it important? Till then it was levels.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So why is it important? Why should we do this? Because this releases or frees one from the bondage of karma, as it is mentioned in Gita 3.9, where it says, I just want to read the translations. This verse says, work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage. So this Nishkama Karma Yoga frees one from the bondage, which is the main reason for us to be entangled in this material world. And it leads to liberation or moksha. As I mentioned, we have we have this topic discussed in different chapters. I just want to give a few references, not a full list of the verses where it is mentioned. So in chapter 2, Krishna says, you have a right to perform your duties, but not the fruits. So he is instructing us not to expect the fruits or not to wait for the fruits and enjoy the fruits. In whole chapter 2, we have multiple verses which explains this concept. They are from 2.38 to 2.53. And in the chapter 3, we have some verses from 3.3 to 3.19, where 3.19 says, act without attachment to attain the supreme. Similarly, in 5th chapter, we have 5.7 to 5.16, which talks about Nishkama Karma Yoga. And it says, detached actions keeps you untouched like a lotus leaf. So until now, the main key concept of Nishkama Karma Yoga is giving up results. But are we really ready to give up the results, even though we know, okay, that is not good to attach to the results? Is it really too easy giving up the results? I don't think so. It's difficult for anybody to not attach to his work. If we do something, we really want to see how it came, and oh, I think I could have done it little better. So we always have some attachment to what we did. So why we have that attachment? Why are we really attached? It's because we are attached to our body, and we are also attached to the actions of our body and the material senses like the mind, intelligence, everything. And we think we are the doer. But we know that the soul is not the independent doer of any actions. So the jivas or soul's actions are influenced by the modes of nature. So these modes of nature induces a person to act according to his svabhava, what he already has and incurred from millions and millions of lives. And so when we talk about the doer of an action, we have explained, Krishna explained there are that what is the role of the soul in doing an action, what is the role of Paramatma or Bhagavan, and what is the role of the body, all this. But in chapter 18, we have Krishna had discussed it in more detail, where he explains about 5 doers in which influences an action. So one is the place of action, which is the body, the performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the super soul. So what does it mean for us is we should not think that we are the only doer. There are a lot of other factors that causes our action to be performed. So without really knowing all this, one simply thinks that we are really doing it and we get entangled it and we get attached to it. But with knowledge, one can have proper understanding and our ignorance can be removed. So in perfect knowledge, one knows that everything belongs to Krishna. So we are not the only doer, and one is not the only cause of his action. And also Krishna says that we are not the proprietors, we are just the caretakers of any property. Whether it is spiritual or material, everything is Krishna or Krishna's. So it's his energy or it's him. So we are not really owning anything here. We are just taking care of some things temporarily. So if we are in that true knowledge, there is no question of attachment. So we think that we can really try cultivating the attachment more easily if we work in this perfect knowledge. So when Krishna says Karma Yoga is better than Gnana Yoga, which means that we should not just avoid having Gnana. When we look at the definition of Uttama Bhakti, Anyabhilashita Sunyam Gnana Karmadi Anavrutam. So it says that Gnana and Karma, it is not devoid of Gnana and Karma, but it is just the bhakti should not be covered by Gnana and Karma, but we should cultivate the knowledge so that we perform our actions with the correct consciousness. As we have this attachment for a very long time, we also need to cultivate the knowledge gradually and need to practice it for a very long time so that we can see some results. So I just want to highlight some key takeaways from this topic. Which is Nishkama Karma Yoga is about renouncing attachment, not action. And this act of selfless action, and by doing it, we are, every step we are taking towards the liberation and our purification and connecting to the Supreme. We can try practicing this Nishkama Karma Yoga practice, starting with at least one area in our life, which helps us progress in our bhakti path. I think that's all I have, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And thank you, Sarvashakti Mataji, for helping me in preparing for this topic. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Please let me know if anybody has any questions.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Does anybody have questions for Mataji? Or any comments or reflections, appreciation? Please share.
Hare Krishna, I really like the key takeaways slide, the last slide, with the Karma Yoga as Mataji was mentioning is spread across different chapters, but I really like the key takeaways summarization towards the end. Just some appreciation.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Damodar Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Kirtida Mataji, thank you so much for giving that nice lecture or like discussion. I wanted to see if you have some comments on, you said that it is not really us who, there are other factors. So that's gonna come in 18th chapter, 5 factors of when something happens, there are 5 different factors. So if you wanna put some comments on that.
Yes, Prabhu, sure. Yeah, I mean, I haven't fully explored the topic, but the 5 factors which was described there were the body means this material facility where we are performing with which we are performing the action, and the jiva. So even though the jiva is pure, it's been provoked or induced by the modes of action to do some action. So the jiva is kind of doer and non-doer. He is not the only doer. At the same time, we cannot say that he is not at all a doer. Is that clear, Prabhuji?
Thank you so much, Mataji.
And the modes and the senses and
Supreme
the
will.
actions that we perform, all these 5 together induces an action to be performed. Sorry, if you are looking for more information, maybe I would like Paramakarna Prabhuji to please take over that question.
I think you covered it well. Chapter 18, verse number 14 mentions the 5 factors of action. And yes, like you correctly said, the jiva also has a role in performing the action by way of desiring to perform the action. And the senses, which is one of the other factors, 5 factors, also is the actual equipment that performs the action. So just like the president gives the order to fire the gun, he doesn't fire the gun, but he expresses his desire. And then the soldier fires the gun or something like that. So in this case, the king is like expresses the desire. So that is the jiva. And the soldier is like the senses, who is just acting based on the desire of the master. So that is why the jiva is also called Ishvara, as in he is the controller of the body. He's not the only controller, like Mataji already said, but he is the controller of the body. And he is therefore responsible. So in that sense, he is one of the factors. Now, this is an important and deep point, that how did the jiva make a desire, because the jiva is pure, but how did it make a desire which is for sense gratification? Jiva should always be, if it is pure, then it should not have any desires related to one's own gratification. And this is a complex topic. So jiva is covered by Maya Shakti. But this is a more detailed topic, very detailed. And Maya is also Shakti of Bhagavan. Jiva is also Shakti of Bhagavan. And sometimes Maya wins, sometimes Jiva wins. So it's a constant tug of war between the two. Anyway, so those were the 5 factors in 18.14. Okay. Any other comments or questions or reflections by devotees?
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much. It's one of the fundamental topics, at least for the sadhakas learning. Nicely presented with a fewer slides, but very effectively presented. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. I also want to share that from Mataji's lot of her answers in the homeworks, and in talking to her, I know that she has a very good understanding of the subject matter. Not just Nishkama Karma Yoga, in general, all the topics, many topics of Bhakti. So I just want to say that Mataji is very, has a very good understanding of these topics. And of course, the slides reflected that, but also just the presentation, whenever we speak from the heart, those who have been practicing Bhakti, and definitely I have seen Mataji and Prabhuji practicing Bhakti very nicely, like many other devotees that I see here. But when we speak from the heart, we must trust that we must have some faith, not pride, but some faith in our practice. That if we have been practicing, we request Krishna that the right words come out of the mouth, and we should speak from the heart. And that really moves people, really. In general, people out there are not looking for some scholarly. There may be some people who are, the purpose is to come with a microscope to judge you. But those people are very, rare. Most people really want to know what you want to know what you have, or to share with them for their own benefit. So when we speak from the heart, it makes a lot of difference. It actually changes the lives of people. So because they see themselves in you, and they see that, oh, if it worked for this person, that's exactly what I am looking for. Let me give it a try. So we should not hesitate to speak from the heart. And the slides and all should simply become an aid or a tool to be able to speak from the heart. So I just want to say that, yes, and that comes with good practice, with our own good sadhana. So therefore, before becoming preacher, one should preach to oneself and practice. So practice, then preach, and then preaching will be so successful, so successful. So thank you, Mataji, for demonstrating that by, you didn't put a lot of verses from Bhagavatam and here and there, and it wasn't like the most, I would say, very, mind-boggling. Like, it was simple, but it was very straightforward, and it was well presented. It wasn't head-hurting. Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. Anything else, anyone? All right. Thank you, Mataji. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.